How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield. All right, let's add some sound to these things. All right, we're live on both YouTube and on TikTok. Welcome to Warrior Wednesday. My name is Rick. This is my Andrea. I also love how adorable you are having two cameras.
I don't know where to look.
And one microphone.
There's a lot going. I'm not used to this, so there's a lot happening.
All right. So what we're going to do is doing our live Q&A. What we are on right now is we're on QA at Warriors Way Mindset, where people have put emails in to say, please answer my questions. We're going to be jumping on Wednesday. You've seen us, seen me on different podcasts. Andrea here is my host with the most, so she'll be reading the emails or the questions. And if you want your email or your question answered, go ahead and go on to QA at warriorswaymindset.com, and then feel free to throw up your question. Let's go ahead and team up. So we're going to be seeing people on TikTok, which we have a lot of people here jumping in, and we're going to see people like Winter Road, who's going to be on the YouTube channel. So feel free to throw up some questions here, but as it stands, let's go ahead and answer some questions and kind of get into how we can help some people who are in some stuff right now. So
yeah, sounds good. Okay, so we have 4 different questions that we're going to read off tonight. So let's start with the first one. The first one says, hoping you can help. I keep running into the same issue when it comes to staying focused, achieving goals for myself. I know I need to work out. I know I need to eat better, but I think I may be sabotaging my own progress. How do I stay focused to finally let go of this behavior?
All right. Well, first off, this doesn't actually say what behavior is the problem. It just says what they want, then they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so with someone like this, I'm going to have to get into like what is actually going on here, because sabotaging is done in multiple different ways, but it's some sort of a system where maybe a worthiness thing, could be a doubt thing, and there's just different parts that come in to go like, what's in the way? So the first part would be obviously, well, focused on what it is that you want. Well, what are you working out for? What are you eating better for? And what are you aiming at for any of your goals? Because if it's unclear and you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it every time. And that's generally what people are doing. They go, I just want to have better, but they don't know what better means. And so they're going to say like, well, I know I need to eat better. Well, what does that mean? 1 apple a day? It could be. Like, what is your actual goal here? What is the thing that you actually want? But if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every single time. And that's what people really run into. And what I mean by that is like, have you ever seen any a Jinn or genie movie? Like, Aladdin or something. You know what a genie is?
Yes.
Right? Okay. Starting there. Do you know what a genie is? You have 3 wishes.
Bewitched.
That's a witch. It's not a genie. All right. You're adorable. So when it comes to making wishes, most genie stories are tragedies. Most of them, things go really wrong because people make really unclear wishes. And so, for example, if you were my genie and you said you have your wishes and like, oh my God, I don't want to worry about money ever again. You're like, oh, okay, well, what's your wish? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want $100 million. And you're like, your wish shall be granted. And the next thing I know, the whole state is filled with just deer all over the place. And I'm like, what is going on? Why is there deer everywhere? And you said you wanted $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
I gave you exactly what you wished for.
Yeah.
Well, and some of these things, like, I just want to be better for myself. You're like, well, what does that mean? What did you wish for? Like, I want to be better. All right. Well, what would make you better? You want to smile? Tickle, 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 tickle. You're better. I fixed you. Your wish has been granted. And you're like, well, that's not exactly what I meant. Well, be specific with your goal setting. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Pick a target that makes you feel like that's something I really, truly want. And if you don't get excited or passionate about it, keep going further. I want to travel more. Mm-hmm. Okay. Exactly where and what type of place and what type of year and which areas and what things do you want to do there? Like, be specific with your wish, or else you're just going to get a whole bunch of bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sabotaging what? Because I don't know if you even have a goal in mind. And let's start there and then see if there's anything in the way.
Yeah.
That's where I would start.
All right, good. All right, here's the next one. I'm recently single and having a hard time with loneliness. I know the separation of the relationship was needed, but how do I get through this loneliness?
loneliness. We've talked about loneliness before. Let me just do this one. I'm going to go with a relatable feeling. I remember feeling nobody wants to hang out with me. Nobody wants to be with me. I'm all alone. Nobody's calling me to see if I want to come and hang out. And I remember in 9th grade, this kid, it was Steven Riddock. He actually makes really great videos now. I've caught it. He does like movie reviews. He's fantastic.
Okay.
But anyway, Steven Riddock, I remember this. I was telling him, like, nobody calls me and nobody wants to hang out with me. And he gave me a little bit of tough love. He gave me some tough love. He was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, you're being a fucking crybaby, all this shit. He's like, nobody's thinking about not hanging out with you. Everyone's just doing stuff.
Yeah.
You are only as lonely as you believe you are. Why don't you call people? Why don't you go do stuff? And right now with today's technology, you can start some sort of like, go to a meetup group or Pinterest or like pick activity, paint night, hike group, biking thing, dance thing. I don't care. Just a meet and greet, network. I don't know. You can pick anything. I bet you I would put money down right now. I'd put bucks down right now. If you put out, hey, I'm lonely and want to hang out with other people who just don't like feeling alone tonight, you'd be surprised how many lonely people come to hang out just because nobody had the courage to say, hey, anybody want to hang? Everyone's waiting for like them to be called. When you're as lonely as you believe you are, you can just call people.
Yeah.
You can go to a group that somebody else was lonely and started a group.
And depending on what type of person you're looking to hang out with, it depends on the dating site you put that information up. You may get a very different.
Yeah, I didn't say dating site. I just said, like,
if you're lonely.
This doesn't have to be that. But again, the other direction on this is if you're so not okay with being alone, what are you trying to do in a relationship then? Because it sounds like me not being okay with hanging out with me also looks like I'm going to be highly codependent in a relationship. This means I will be projecting that I need you to do something for me to be okay. And this also creates a codependency that will be very unstable in our relationship. And so I would work with this person for self-worth, self-confidence to be able to go, you're okay with you. So you're 100% good to meet somebody else who's 100% good. So together you're 200% better versus I'm only okay if you're making me okay so that we're codependent. And then you feel like you're so lonely and I'm not okay and I need to be with somebody so that I can be validated and that I'm okay. It's like, well, now you're going to create a level of neediness on the relationship that will most likely create too much pressure for one person to handle, which will inevitably make you lonely again.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of it. So
very good.
2 pillars. Hey, Big Al, what's up, bud? And Melissa, I saw your stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get to your stuff in a little bit. Okay.
All right. So here's the next one. I listen to your podcast. This one comes up often. And I know on YouTube, a lot of you guys are here from the
To Be Better
podcast. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But this comes
Shout
up.
out to Chris.
There are, several emails about this specific topic, about anger is how men cry, like blew people's minds. And it comes up almost every day in the emails that people are writing about this and have questions and need more clarification. So here's another one. I listened to your podcast and heard you say anger is how men cry. And it happens mostly with my spouse when I get angry.
Mm-hmm.
And arguments that I start yelling. I know this isn't the best approach. What tips do you have for handling my anger specifically towards my spouse?
All right. So the big thing is I start yelling is what I see right away.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people yell?
Because they get mad, not being heard.
Not being heard.
Yeah.
Here's just a thing for all of you guys. When it comes down to what it is, that's Big Al. You said I cry when I'm angry. Good, well played. And like that's personality type thing. And so, but most guys have to suppress down in a very hard way, especially we're taught that we can't do that. People yell when they're not heard. If you feel completely heard, like I really hear you, I want to listen to understand. I'm very interested and curious on your point of view without blame, shame, and judgment. I want to hear you. It's less likely when you're being heard that you're going to get triggered into needing to yell. So in this case, if he's like, I'm sad and it's turning into anger and I'm yelling, this means, and this is for any part of you, whether it's the guy yelling at the girl or the girl yelling at the guy, if whoever's yelling at who, the person yelling is letting you know you're not a safe person to talk to because you're not listening. Just soak it in for a second. If they're yelling, it's because you're not listening, you're not being heard, and it goes both ways. If you're doing any of your control mechanisms, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, if you're going into a control defense posture, odds are you're not being as safe to talk to as you think you are. And on this one, this would be a partnership thing. Yes. Is there ways to control his anger? When I train guys with anger, we got to go into one of the three parts, the categories that are really a struggle. So what are the categories I have to check first? First, is something taken or lost? Because that triggers anger. Is something taken away from you or has something been lost? The next one is going to be unfair or injustice. That's not right. This is not fair. It's not right. It's not the right thing to do. This is injustice. That'll make somebody mad. And in relationships, most of the time it comes down to an unmet need. And many people don't know what their needs are to be able to articulate their needs, which makes them more frustrated. And then you'll see outbursts. And if that's the case, this also means both are triggered into a defense system. So people aren't being safe to even talk to. Now, this is a person who's important to you. You matter to me. You're important to me. Why won't you just give me the dignity of listening?
Mm-hmm.
And most people will be yelling when they feel completely unheard.
Yeah.
And so that's where I would start with this, is listening to understand. And as an exercise for both partners, if your partner is yelling, you're probably not listening.
Yeah. Or if you find yourself yelling right back to, say your point or get your point across, probably not the best approach.
Neither of you is listening anymore.
Yeah.
And this is where there'd have to be some sort of take a break. You guys aren't listening anymore. How can you get anything to work when you're both in a high defensive posture?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're both on either attack or flight or shut down or some sort of damage control system. You're going to be doing things to try to control the situation. Well, if you're trying to control and not trying to understand, the conversation's going to pretty much be dead at that point.
Yeah.
If my dude feels unheard and I got to yell at you, and this is he's showing an emotion, and ladies, this is a chance for you to step up. You remember in that anger is how we cry. Well, ladies, you're having an opportunity now to show empathy that you would like to have for your emotions, the validations of your feelings. Well, you get to do that too. And if you want him to do something for you, are you willing to be able to do that back, especially if it comes from, I would love to have my feelings be important. And your guy is saying, hey, my feelings are important too. And you're going, no, I'm not listening to that. Mm-hmm. Your opportunity to be empathetic towards your guy gives you a chance for you to be a balanced and healthy and collaborative part of this relationship, and not just waiting for someone to be better for you. You guys can be better together.
Yeah.
And really the goal of a relationship, I still think, is supposed to be, is it better to be together than if you weren't together?
Yeah.
That's still the goal, is we make it better as a team than if we weren't together at all. And if you're the highest source of frustration for that person, are you really the improvement or are you the complication?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he gets mad. Are you doing anything to go, shoot, my dude's not okay right now?
Yeah. Rather than blaming or judging him for his anger.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing to do. I've been in that situation with you where you get angry and, and I'm like, don't talk to me like that. Ladies, it doesn't help.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many people get that when you have an argument with your partner, it's very easy to be defensive. This makes me feel bad that you're even feeling bad and I want no part of it. So I'm going to meet you with the same energy.
Yeah.
And it never works out.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
It never works out.
Yeah. And Big Al, you made a point here. You said, I just learned it's not her responsibility to make me happy. I never mentioned either person has to make the other one happy. I said, listen to understand and don't invalidate the emotions the other person has, because we're both human beings.
Yeah.
I didn't say it's your job to make them happy. It's your job to be controlling their emotions. That's not your job. But to say I invalidate your emotions and I shut you down because I have a defense system that doesn't handle that you're actually working on something right now, and I won't even listen to it. I'm just going to shut that down. And he's like, why won't you listen?
Yeah.
People are yelling, and this goes for the ladies too. Like you're yelling if your guy was really truly like, babe, I'm supportive and here for you. I'm listening. You're going through something. I got you.
Yeah.
Like less likely that you're going to be doing an attack thing. And if you are going on full attack to somebody who's truly supportive, loving, empathetic, and validating, you may be the issue in the relationship, in which case you're the one destroying the whole thing. And would you be able to deal with the truth of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of people like that, even though it does give you the power to be able to work on it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. Also, too, relationships are so much work. And I think in moments like that, it's so easy. And I think what you see in society is people are so easy to call it quits or give up on each other when something doesn't go the way that they expect it to be. So there is so many beautiful things in growth moments, even if they're so challenging sometimes. Being able to celebrate those wins as a team, like, okay, we got through that disagreement much better than we would have done before. Like spending time and acknowledging those moments, too, I think is helpful.
Sure is.
Yeah.
Anyways, I ranted a little bit there.
That was good.
I ranted a little bit. All right. So there's a lot of pieces to that, but I do look at the belief systems or the behaviors that are in there. And for a guy to go, I'm angry while I cry, which part of you is making you angry? Odds are unmet need. But if he's yelling, the unmet need is generally not feeling heard, in which case I would practicing for them to be able to listen, to understand, and then see if they can both have an empathy for where they're at without blame, shame, and judgment.
Yeah.
Sounds simple, not easy.
Can I jump to a question really quick on YouTube?
Yeah.
All right. So Jade Lynn says, why is codependency bad? Isn't codependency in a healthy marriage? Codependency in a healthy marriage?
And Jade, I don't want to put you on the spot too hard here. Can you please give me an example of very healthy codependency? Because I feel like this is going to be a subjective point of view, but I'm also curious how much it works in your favor for this codependency. Because codependency that works in my favor is awesome. Codependency that doesn't work in my favor is not awesome.
Makes me feel real safe.
Yeah, I love when all my things are taken care of. That codependency is wonderful.
Yeah.
But if like, well, how are their things? I don't know.
I'm not really
That's
sure.
their job.
Yeah.
My job isn't to make them happy. You're like, this codependency seems a little more like take. That doesn't seem like codependent as far as like reciprocity goes. It seems like you're in I'm the taker relationship. So I would like a healthy version of what you think codependency in a healthy marriage looks like. Only just please as a reference for me so I can go, okay, good point. Not as a blame, shame, judgment or to argue. I really do want to know. So I'd be very open to hear a healthy version of codependency. That makes it so there's not really a control issue or a battle. I'd like to see where someone doesn't take advantage.
Yeah.
Because I think the codependency part, it gets really tricky. I have talked to a lot of experts, and like there's nothing wrong with people playing their role to be a team, but to say like I can't live without you. Well, I mean that can also that's led to a lot of unhealthy behavior.
Do you think there's a balance with that?
If you get two healthy people.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times we're getting into relationships that we don't really know what we're doing. And we get in relationships with people that are damaged, very hurt people. And hurt people hurt people. And so even today, I was talking to a guy who gave everything that he had just to be completely taken for granted and taken advantage of and just lost everything. He gave everything for this woman and her daughter. And said, I did everything. I gave everything I have. And she destroyed me, cut the daughter out of my life, everything. He's like, I don't understand. But I'm like, the overextending that codependent relationship where you give everything and then you're considered an enabler at that point. Like, it seems like if you're in a relationship with an unhealthy person, the more that you give, the more commitment, the more safety, more security, more support, the more reassurance, all that stuff, it seems to reveal that another person is able then to take more of you for granted because there's no consequence for treating somebody like that poorly.
Yeah.
I had a guy this morning too, where he's like, I am the reason that everything that we have exists. And she treats him like dog shit.
I don't understand it.
There's no consequence for not treating him terribly. He still pays and gives and does everything. He's a very successful guy. This isn't like a loser. Like he's a very successful businessman. and is just not respected, not honored, not loved, not appreciated. And he's the reason that every single thing that she has exists. She's a stay-at-home mom. He takes care. He's the reason that everything that she has is there. And she treats him like shit. And like, there's something to be said about, even having a healthy boundary for himself to go like, hey, I am the hand that feeds. There's one of my dudes there. Jimmy, you can relate. It's my guy.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking watching people who full commit everything they have to somebody to watch them be treated poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't, I work a lot with men, but this happens with just people. Like, this is both relationships. Like, there's guys that do this to women also.
Yeah.
And so this is like a human trait. This is a people thing, so very, very, very tricky to watch some of these happen and not be able to express autonomy, which is like an independence or a freedom to go like, if I'm in an abusive relationship, I should be able to say my line today is I have to remove the privilege of being with me, and so that's a really interesting thing that I've heard multiple relationship experts actually suggest that autonomy is healthy.
Yeah.
And like, we've had those conversations. We've had conversations that are difficult to go, if I ever become abusive and I start treating you in a very abusive way or a non-negotiable way, you should be able to cut out.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Yeah. I should cut out if you start treating me absolutely horrendously.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a non-negotiable.
And we'd both be okay. Like, and at first, I think when I, hear that initially, just because my safety and security red flags go up, like, I don't want you to leave, right? Like, there's a part of me that exists that's there, just honestly. But I also know for myself, my mom also instilled in me, do not allow a man to take care of you. You always have to make sure you can take care of yourself. Now, there's a little bit of a curse with that, but there's also the point of like, I feel like I will always be able to take care of myself. Now, again, there's a balance with that, but it is more helpful than not, because I wouldn't want to put myself in a position where I felt stuck. And I think a lot of women get stuck now in these situations where, especially if they're not married or they're in a committed relationship, because if you're married, gentlemen, you can vouch they're going to get half of what you have anyway. Which is unfortunate.
Well, it's killing marriage. It's making it so that women who take advantage of that system are making it so that good men don't want to sign up.
Yeah.
That's been happening for a few years now, handful of years now.
If I was a man, I would not get married through any type of government system. We've talked about this multiple times, but no way. No way.
Yeah, I'm not a big like red pill proponent. I don't go that direction. But these guys are starting like to recognize that ladies who are taking advantage of it are making it so that you're giving a lot of credibility to these guys. Like I said, I'm not a subscriber to that direction, but there's not really a big push for ladies to go, hey, we should back that off a little bit, because we're kind of ruining this thing and making it so the good guys are going, this is a terrible business deal.
100%.
I lose everything no matter what. I have to pay for you to have your new boyfriend, and you can just leave at any point for any reason. And I have to pay for you for a long time for it. I'm going to hard pass that. It's a terrible business deal. And ladies are like, you better. For what? Just saying. I'm not a red pill dude, but like these guys aren't totally crazy sometimes.
No. And I was on the other end of that. I was on the receiving end of the opposite thing where I had to pay, and it sucks. Like, I feel for the men or anybody that has to go through the situation, whether you're a woman, and it's less common for this to happen to women, but it sucks. Yeah.
You were on the receiving end of that. Yeah. You got to be the one who gave half your retirement for the relationship going not good and against you.
No.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Warrior, thank you so much for being a part of the information that we have. And you're part of our story as we are a part of yours. It's very much an honor to be able to connect with each other. If you want to know more, or you want to get started with working with me or working with our warriors so that you can begin your path to authenticity, strength, leadership, and accountability, this is the way. Together, we are way stronger. Now you get to choose. Do you go forward or keep doing what you've always done? If you stay where you're at, hey, click on some of the stuff and follow what it is. We got motivational stuff. We've got podcasts. We've got more things. Just subscribe and do the stuff and we'll keep you updated. But if you want to start going in, start jumping into what our programs offer and start your journey and being the hero in your own story.
Yeah. All right. So you want to go back to Jade real quick?
Oh, yeah. What do we got
Okay,
here?
so she says, my definition of codependency is a team. You did just explain it all. I share your beliefs a lot. My partner and I are codependent on each other because I depend on him to do, I'm assuming, his jobs.
Or hard jobs.
Yeah.
Or his jobs, yeah.
Because she mentioned, would you consider a marriage?
Well, there's a partnership there where he works and pays for the bills and she cooks and cleans for the house.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is where, like, you know, is there a deal there? Is there something where you guys can go, this is actually healthy? Now, the part where it becomes an issue is like, are you doing a full amount of hours of cook and clean in comparison to how much work he's doing? I'd hard press say no. I got to be a stay-at-home dad for 2 years and I was not doing the same amount of work as work. Like I wasn't. And there was 2 kids there. So like I did that and it was a lot less stressful having to go to work. It just was. And so it was just, that was my point of view. And you know, if you have toddlers or babies, that's a different thing. But I mean, anybody who's like first grade and up, it's
get a half day.
It's not a full day there. And so I would argue like, hey, they're in school for most of the day and they're at work. You can do some catch up around the house and do some cleanup. But if you're pulling an 8-hour shift of cleaning every single day, I don't know if that's necessarily the same. And so I would just say, is there a good teamwork or a camaraderie or a partnership that can be there and it can be very healthy together? Sure. But I also would consider that, like, if he decides he wants to just be abusive, but he pays the bills, you know, or he starts treating you poorly or neglecting you or not, you know, honoring the vows that you guys have. If that starts happening and you're like, yeah, but I cook and clean, so you should, what clout is there to stand on for you aside from just using the system to destroy him, which in this case kind of asked for it. But if it was the other way around, it becomes where, like, if any of this is used unhealthy, it's just a mess. Mm-hmm. It'd be good for you to have your own skills and abilities to fall back on. Otherwise, you guys just trap each other. It just seems like there's a lot of opportunity for trapping each other. You know, yeah. It becomes a little bit tricky. Let's see. I did mean job and all right. And the blue jobs and the pink jobs. That's funny.
She said, I'm just fangirling over here. Oh, you're cute.
Thanks, Jane. Yeah, it's a good point. It's just the codependency thing seems to have a lot more pitfalls than benefits. And it really comes down to the health of your relationship, you know? And so the healthier you guys can be, it can be a healthy codependency, but the version that you mentioned is highly reciprocal. So that means it's got a lot of reciprocity. There's reciprocation. I'm doing a thing you don't want to do. You do a thing I don't want to do. And that makes us both happy because I do the thing I do want to do. You do the thing you want to do. We're both doing great. Well, that's a reciprocity. That means we're both making each other's lives better, you know? And so that part is good. But if you're like, well, now that you're committed to me, you better just do this. And you're like, well, I'm stuck. I'm trapped. And that becomes very unhealthy pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But no, I really appreciate your question. It's very cool to watch the YouTube moving at the same time, too.
Yeah. You guys have more characters on TikTok. So it is kind of nice.
You do full paragraphs. Yeah. What's up, Johnny Greggs? I see you, brother.
All right. You want to go to our last one here?
Final one, and then we can grab up a couple of these and get out of here.
Yeah. I watched your video on love languages. I am physical touch. My wife is not. Reading this, here we go. Okay. How do I communicate with her that I need more physical touch without causing an argument? When I tell her what I need, she seems annoyed.
You're annoyed. This is an important thing. Before you ladies start jumping on to, I want more physical touch, that means we have to be having sex always. I think it's important that he says, like, When I just tell her what he needs, she wants to argue. She gets annoyed and it becomes an argument. But he said more physical touch. This can be hand holding or snuggling or just like being able to be like, hey, good morning, or more hugs in the day or whatever. It doesn't mean like you need to have sex with me every time I say so. Like a lot of times whenever I talk to these guys, they're like, I just want to hold her hand. I just love her. You know, these guys that I talk to aren't like, she needs to be humping me 4 times a day. Like, they're like, I just wish that she would snuggle when we watch our shows. Like, just sit next to me. Like, that's all I want. Like, or like
walk past each other, maybe just quick touch.
Grab a butt once in a while. You smack him in the butt once in a while. Like, well, I don't really like to do that. It's really interesting with this one. Yeah, you're right. I'm probably going to go in. Okay. Riddle me this. When you guys make vows because you love each other, like I vow to honor and respect and be loyal and have dignity in sickness and in health and be there for you, and people write their own vows that I'll always love you and I'll always care for you and I'll always be good to you and I'll, give my life to you forever and I love you and I love you and I love you, right? When we make our vows, which ones matter? Like, which ones don't count? Because when someone says, I commit my body and my health and my everything that I am, my whole being, my resources, my soul, my heart, I commit all of this to you and only you. And that person does that thing like, here, grab my hand. Ugh.
Oh, I hate that. It's bad every time.
Yeah. That's a weird thing, right? Where you commit your body to me, you commit love to me, you commit commitment. Ew.
Just the level of immediate rejection
Feels terrible.
Like I know we're good, but
now,
doing that.
Give me your hand because I love you. I'm not really trying to reject you.
No, I know, but I hate that every time.
Yeah, so it's a shit example, but this is what that guy's reality is like we said, I want to honor, respect, love you forever, support you, be there, in sickness and in health. And they go, as long as it's not cheating. Well, now that we're committed all the way in, get off of me. I don't want to touch anymore. It's like, but you're the only person I committed to hold hands with and to snuggle with and to be hugging and to be holding and to watch our shows and be there for each other and to rub backs and to squeeze butts and to all of the things, not just intimacy, which is also, you're my only person for intimacy also. Mm-hmm. And someone goes, I don't want to do that anymore. Which vows count? Which ones are the ones where you are the betrayer in the marriage? Which ones count? Mm-hmm. And on this, when he's like, well, my love language was always touch, and we used to touch a lot. And then now that I have given you maximum commitment, maximum reassurance, maximum security, maximum safety, you're like, I don't want to do that. Well, which vows count?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, if he goes, well, then since you don't want to keep your 10 vows here, maybe I could talk to someone who actually does want to touch my back or give me a hug. Well, now you're a cheater and you're bad. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, which vows count? The loyalty one or all of the other ones that you just threw in the dumpster and set on fire because you didn't feel like it today?
Right.
On this one, I feel like anybody who's with someone who says, I don't care that you want to hold hands, and I don't care that you want to snuggle, and I don't care that you want to scratch my back or play with my hair or feel loved or feel wanted. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Well, I have a hard time with this dynamic really feeling sorry for her. Mm-hmm. And in this one case, because it's a him, I don't feel sorry for her being annoyed for the one guy who says, I commit my everything to you, wanting to hold your hand.
And if the roles will reverse, like you always say, the golden rule, how would that make her feel?
You don't deserve him. He doesn't deserve you. He's a bastard. You should leave him. Right? Swipe right.
Oh my God, I hate all of what you just said.
This is one of those things where which vows matter.
Yeah.
And so on this one, if he says, I commit my every resource, every being, my heart, my soul, my life, my time, my energy, my resources, everything is yours. And can I just at least like get some good hugs? Can you make me feel like it's not
attention? Like
you're my only person for this.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that. I think you and I we don't walk by each other without, if I ever walk by you without grabbing your butt
it happened the other day. And let me tell you, I'm so in tune with like I look forward to it. Like if we're walking by each other in the house and he walks past me, and you did the other day, and I was like, and I immediately was like, you missed something. He'll come right back and be like, smack my ass and be like, is that better? That's better. That feels better. Like we don't miss those moments, and we both are. It's very rare, but when we miss it, we're like, okay, let's do that one again.
Wait a second. She'll push her butt into me like, wait, you're really gonna miss that opportunity? You better not. I'm like, fair enough. Absolutely correct.
Oh, it's so good.
All vows count. What's up, Mr. Gratitude? Hey, Brandon. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, this is one of those ones where I do have a hard time, because he wasn't saying she needs to sleep with me every day. He's saying, I just like to be touched. And this doesn't mean like forced sex. This means like hold my hand.
Yeah, he's like, this
snuggle.
Is my love language. This is how I like to be loved.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't care because it's not the way that I want to show love. Like, that's selfish.
If it goes the other way, where she's like, I love that you make me feel safe, or like, like Jade, you said, I like that he does the work and provides, and he does the money. Like he goes to work and he provides for like safety, security, and he does all the things that like bring me that part. And he's like, you know what? I don't really feel like providing food and shelter and safety anymore. I don't feel like that. Now that we're committed, I don't feel like doing that anymore. Yeah. Like, but that's the thing that like, that's what our deal. Like, what are you doing? I don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. And you have to deal with that because we made vows.
Yeah.
It's like, what, aren't you breaking a bunch of vows now? I'm not cheating. So I'm okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, I think that kind of goofs the whole thing up. And that's an important part. And that's why I said it leads back to the autonomy still. And I'm not saying everyone should be 1 foot out the door, but just going like, this has turned into a very unhealthy and abusive relationship. Let me test the willingness of, do you really want this to work or not? And if they're like, I don't care, I'm annoyed because you even want to love with me. And you're like, it doesn't seem like a high level of willingness. What's the consequence for somebody completely dismissing a core need for love? What's the price for someone going, you need to feel loved, honored, and wanted and appreciated, and I don't feel like doing that anymore? Well, what's the cost? Probably don't deserve that relationship anymore.
Yeah. And especially if you can't be open and talk to someone about it either. Like, again, it's not like, well, so what? We're just done. But like, can you even talk about it? Like without someone getting annoyed? I don't. That one's frustrating.
That's a little frustrating. It can be a little tough. That can be a little tough. So I just want to put that out there. If there's somebody who feels like they're complaining, we went back to it before. Listen to understand. Have a little empathy for your person. What's going on with them and what makes them not okay? Just listen. You don't have to agree, but just understand. But then at the other part is what they're asking for, really that groundbreaking where they're like, I just want to hold your hand. I just want to be able to snuggle. Like, I'm not trying to be overly aggressive here. I really just love you. So I'd like to show that. And that's where I go like, let's go ahead and see if this is really crossing the line.
Yeah.
So willingness, that's a big thing. All right. There's a couple of questions here. And we can jump in on this and jump out. What's up, Kevin Russell? Dismissive avoidant. All resources say just love them through it. But what about finance? It's Kevin, that's a little bit of an interesting thing. What I would suggest, Kevin, is go into the links that we have and book a call. And I'll see what we can do to be able to have like us have a conversation. You'll be going through and talking probably to Luke, and he'll see if he can help you. But if not, he'll send you right through to me. And let's see what's going on here, because I don't know how she's expressing her dismissive avoidance. But again, which vows are important? Like if she's like, I'm just going to dismissively avoid anything that makes it so that we can have love, but I still expect you to take care of everything else. It's like, what's the cost of you just not doing your part of the relationship anymore? And this is something that should be like a regular thing.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I don't understand. What is dismissive avoidant? I don't get all these. I don't get it.
We'll save it for a different day because that gets into like all these different categories.
It's hard to keep track of all the labels.
Well, I don't fully subscribe to it. I think it's a label that people will try to adapt themselves to give themselves an excuse to perpetuate bad behavior. So I'm not a subscriber to it because these. Can
you imagine if we're having
it's attachment theory? I don't subscribe. Catnip, I appreciate you. Like, I don't subscribe to attachment theory.
I don't either
because I just see it as it turns into an excuse for bad behavior.
Yeah. If we get an argument and I'm like, I'm just avoidant. That's my attachment style. If that even makes sense. I don't even know if that makes sense. You're like, well, where can we go from there?
Well, it's an excuse to no longer listen, which means now the relationship is dying because you've given yourself an out from having to be a participant. Like, that's not how I see it. You're like, but that's the behavior. Like, I've seen people who are diagnosed bipolar, which is a massive, like, it's a massive window. Everything from anger to sadness. It's a huge window to like give this diagnosis. And so like it's given very, very, very quickly. And because of that, it's really become where I've seen people like start to change their behavior based on what they research. And that's really tricky. So when I rework people's belief systems without having them try to adhere to a diagnosis, it usually ends up removing it. Especially most people I know with bipolar usually don't understand how to grieve properly through anger and sadness. And so they repress until they express. And so when I really work with people, they use denial as acceptance, which is a trick. Well, is what it is. I guess nobody cares. So I'll just shove it down. Whatever is what it is. Can't change it now. Right. And they use that as acceptance, even though they didn't go through any of the stages to actually accept. That's a different training altogether, though.
Yeah. Personal development school.
That sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Who created integrated attachment theory, which focuses on reprogramming the subconscious. Just like I said, the way that this is thrown around, there may be people who do this in a positive way, but I think that more people screw this up than they do not screw it up. So I lean more into people are going more off of a TikTok or a YouTube video or somebody's opinion and then going, I have those things. I have those symptoms. And then they start acting differently.
And the highlighting, even the ads on TikTok are highlighting anxiety and like, it's so easy to get this medicine for anxiety. Like it's like glorified almost.
Yeah. Actually, I have, we've been curing people of the symptoms of anxiety, like not just symptoms, like the core of anxiety. We actually have it on our website. Like I've beaten anxiety for a lot of people where they have gone like, I no longer need the medication for that because I don't have any of the problems that give me that anxiety. So like they'll talk to their doctor or whatever and say, I no longer require these. The core reason for that anxiety, I no longer have. And we made it $30 because I'm like, I just want to help people.
Yeah.
And so we put it on our website where you can go and get the system that's been working. And you can also upgrade and book a call. And I can even walk it through or do a class. But it's been working for people within like weeks. They're like, I no longer am having any of the triggers. I now have tools and weapons that seem to work. It's trained or untrained, and it's been working over and over. And if you want to take the Pepsi challenge, spend $30, see if it works, and then go ahead and challenge me. Have the conversation. Let's see if it works or not. I like that because if you make it better, let's make it better. Sounds good to me.
So I just have to read this statement from Catnip, which is really funny.
Oh, what do you got?
He said, I got way better after I went no contact. This is the funny part to me with my emotional terrorist of an ex.
Well played.
That is hysterical to me.
I think everybody gets way better after no contact with emotional terrorists. Yeah. So
sorry about that.
Very cool. What's up, Kina? 1717.
Brandon wants to go live with us in 10 minutes, but we won't be on because tonight
it's date night. Yeah, we did the Q&A. So Brandon, next week, 6 p.m. You're I would love to come live with you. I would love it. Heck, why don't you just come on over, brother? Come on over.
Come on over.
Why don't you get over here and we'll set up the studio? We got more room on the big screen here on YouTube than we do anywhere else. but you're absolutely welcome. And I'd love to have you on with us. It'd be very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna bounce. We're gonna get out of here. It's date night, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Hang out with some friends.
hang out with friends. I'm gonna love on you, and we're gonna have some fun tonight. But it's been an honor. A lot of the To Be Better people who are starting to hang out with us here. Thank you so much for the YouTube channel, actually getting people involved.
Yeah, that's great.
That's lovely. For both sides, you actually can click on the links and book a call. And we actually do real work. This is the entertainment stuff. I do real work. And so if you ever want to have those real conversations or go into real stuff, please book the call. Let's see if there's anything I can do to support you and help you in your journey. So feel free to do that. Otherwise, I hope you guys are loving on your people. I hope you are working on yourself. And we have a lot of systems in place to help you grow. So please just reach out and see which works for you. And we'll be there to support you every step of the way. Otherwise, Q&A at warriorswaymindset.com. Put your questions in and we'll read them next week. Cool?
Yeah, cool.
Cool. All right, baby. Let's get out of here.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Right. Good night, everybody. We'll shut down the TikTok.
Click on the button and you can become the hero in your own story. It's time to start making the choices to change. And the evolution that you're going to do begins with choosing the next step. This is the way. And together, we're always stronger.